So my name is Michael Wilkinson. I'm DNV GL's energy digitalization segment leader. So I'm responsible for applying digital technology into the energy sector. Yeah, so DNV GL is a global technical advisor and certification company. We're headquartered in Norway, but we have a global presence, and we have around about 13,000 technical engineers, analysts, consultants, inspectors, people who are out looking at assets, inspecting and providing quality assurance across a range of different industries. So we work in business assurance, we work in maritime, we work in oil and gas. We have a digital solutions unit, but then we also have a large presence in the energy space. So some people will have heard of DNV GL, but others might also be familiar with some of our legacy companies as well. So we're the product of a number of mergers. We've had a number of companies such as Garrett Hassan and Kima, who are now part of the DNV GL family. So for me personally, I've been with the company for a while, and my route into the company was through the renewables business at Garrett Hassan. So I think a really good place to start with that is our energy transition outlook. You can go and have a look at our future forecast for the energy consumption, but also energy generation. It's on our website. And in there, what we're doing is giving our best estimate, our best forecast at what the future global energy scenarios are. So it's globally, but then it's also broken down by region as well. So in there, what we're doing is forecasting that globally, energy consumption or energy generation in general will be more electrified. So a lot more generation of energy from the electricity market, as opposed to say oil and gas for direct sort of consumption by vehicles and things like that. So a lot more electrification. But then also a really interesting factor we're seeing is that by 2050, we're forecasting that 80% of the world's electricity generation will be from renewables by 2050. So 80% renewables by 2050. And within that, there's a lot more details. So we can see, for example, in some growing economies, such as India, we're expecting a lot more electrification, but also an increase in demand as well. And there we see huge potential in DNV GL. We see huge potential for the Indian market to electrify, but also to produce more power from renewable sources. So from DNV GL perspective, we're investing quite a bit in our Indian business as well to meet the expected growing demand. So today we're launching our Global Operations and Analytics Centre. That's going to be based in Bangalore. So in recognition of the growing Indian market, we're going to have our Global Analytics Centre based in Bangalore. So our Global Operations and Analytics Centre really is targeted at two types of customers. Firstly, there's smaller independent power producers who maybe have a good awareness of the importance of actively and proactively monitoring and looking at your assets, but don't necessarily have the full technical or staffing capabilities to be able to do it themselves. So their DNV GL can do that for them. But then the second type of customer really is more the financial investor as well, and that's where we're looking at asset investors who are making a good job at looking at contracts and really good at high-level asset management, but not so much of the detailed asset management, and that's where our team can really help. So really the purpose of the Global Operations and Analytics Centre is to be as proactive as you can to be able to get the maximum value out of your renewable assets. So ultimately, we all want, I think, to have more renewable generation, and it makes sense that those renewable assets are as optimized as they possibly can be. So our Global Operations Analytics Centre is one step or one contributing part to make that happen. I think then looking to the future as well, so DNV GL is basing the centre in Bangalore. It's going to work globally, but really the focus for us initially is going to be in India, because we see that as such a strong potential and growing market as well. And so for DNV GL, we're extremely excited to be basing the team in Bangalore, and yeah, I think the Indian market is great at the moment. So the Indian market for renewables is growing rapidly, and what we're seeing is that in a rapidly growing market, it's required to have a certain level of trust, I think. So as an asset investor or a small asset owner, how do you know that you're really getting best value out of your assets? And so that's I think the way that DNV GL can help is by providing that trust and by providing that certainty. Yeah, absolutely. So India is a really good starting point, but then looking more widely as well, we're seeing good growth potential certainly in China, but then in other parts of the Asia Pacific region, and then looking to other parts of the world, say Africa. There's a real drive on electrification, and we think that electrification is going to start with renewables rather than start with fossil. So I think there'll be much more focus on microgrid and the ability to connect in renewable assets with battery technology straight into smaller conurbations and smaller industry units as well. Yeah, so solar is particularly interesting because the cost of energy is declining, but the cost of solar energy in particular is declining really rapidly. So there it means that we need to work even harder to make sure that that all of these assets are working to their best ability, because what you really don't want to do is to have unreliable renewable assets in your grid. So making sure that the assets are reliable, making sure that they're working at their best level is I think an opportunity for us around solar. So I think for me it's pretty clear that that we need to move towards renewables. Our forecast is that the global energy market will move towards renewables, and what DNV GL is doing is providing technical services to really help that energy transition happen. So full spectrum, right from project development, engineering, through to operations, and a whole load of other services in between as well. So pretty much anything in renewables, DNV GL is got a long experience and really able to help our customers.